I know my typing's about 1/5 of that speed. That's for sure.
I've never done live YouTube before, so look at that. We're live, I guess.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. What's happening, Hardscapers? This is the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk to you about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And today we have our very first round table rally with returning guests, Mike of Paver King. Mike, thanks for joining us here.
Oh.
And we've got Matt Hiner of Hiner Outdoor Living. Matt, thank you so much. And Josh Sutton of Sutton Outdoors. Josh?
How you doing?
And Dan Wasson of a Wasson Nursery.
How we doing? Thanks for having me.
Jordan of DPR.
Glad to be back.
Caleb Auman of Auman Landscapes.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
And Craig Scheller of Scheller Outdoor Living.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And we've got Tony Zambito of Group Zamco, or Zamco Group. Tony, good to see you.
I got to go bilingual in Quebec. So. Very good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this and to return for this live segment of the round table rally, as it was so elegantly put by Josh Sutton of Sutton Outdoors. Thank you for that name, Josh. And basically what I want to do with these is do a deep dive into a very specific topic every other week, and to get everybody's opinions on things. I know we're going to disagree on some things here and there, and I hope that comes out in the best way possible so that we can take away things from this group and also help those tuning into this, whoever might be tuning into this, and push this industry forward together. And I thought, what better way to start than with goal setting for 2021 and how you budget those into your business. And I figure we'd start off with the wins from 2020. What worked well in your business in 2020? What did you experiment with? What did you implement? And what worked well last year for your season that you're going to continue this year, or you're going to tweak a little bit this year to really get that going in your business? So whoever wants to start us off with what they think worked best in their business last year.
Well, I mean, sorry, guys, I'll start it off, but I guess it's bad to say, but I think COVID really worked in all of our favors. I know it's been terrible worldwide, but for our industry, it not that it helped us specifically, but it definitely opened people's eyes to the value of outdoor living, and bringing the indoors outside, right? Because people can only spend so much time inside. They're actually investing in their yards more so than ever before. So I think that there was an added value to all of our projects this season, just due to the whole sentimental aspect of it, people spending time together.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would disagree that definitely it did work in this industry's favor, especially that we get to work outside and we're not in somebody's house developing their house or revamping their house. Yeah, absolutely. Any other takeaways from 2020 for you guys in your business?
I think that was, I mean, to second off of that, that's a big chunk of a surprising factor for us. What went really right on top of that, everyone was wanting, things at home, patios, pools, pergolas. But on top of that, we were able to expand on our design fee. It was, people didn't bat an eye to it. And we've been trying to slowly grow the design fee, over a long term. And it made it so much, COVID brought all that out and made it so much, I'm looking for the word, but it was in people's minds. They were ready for it. And it helped us do that. Sorry about that. It's bedtime around here.
Awesome.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, getting into designs and leveraging off that. Anybody want to talk about that further or other things in their business that really worked well in 2020?
We had whoever was going.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, for us, we bought the triaxle dump truck in the fall of 2019 and had struggles with it off the get-go. But for 2020, we worked it every single day of the season. Didn't park it one day. So, for us, we had anticipated 3-4 days a week. We rolled it 5 days a week, and it's still working every day now. So, for us in 2020, that was a huge win. Our launch into sort of a trucking division, that for us was a big win last year. Very happy with it.
Any other services, anything else that anybody else implemented in their business, or continuing off what Paver King said there, or anything else that was that worked well in your business last year?
Well, I started my business in 2020, so unlike some of you guys, I've been in the industry a long time, but I was in distribution and sales for about 5 years, and was kind of getting an itch to get back in. And I talked to Josh quite a bit and some other guys in the industry, and I was traveling, the whole country, and just talking to others and networking and really seeing that the industry was taking off, especially in 2020. So I figured I was kind of wanting to ease my way back into it, maybe start up right about now, like February or March, and try to get into a business. And I just really felt like I needed to pull the trigger last July. So I was very surprised at how quickly it took off, and how busy we are already, and the type of projects we're landing. It's completely blown me away. So 2020 was what I consider to maybe be a struggle, and trying to get my feet wet in the business again was actually very surprising. It's been very rewarding, honestly, from the get-go. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something we did today that I know a handful of people have been doing all of 2020, and my good buddy Jeremy Swihart out in Dayton J Squared Outdoors has been doing a lot of Zoom meetings and Zoom consults with clients. We did our first one today on a design consult, and I thought I'll say this. It was a lot more fluid than I thought it was going to be. The client texted us. It snowed. We got like 8 inches of snow right now in Southeast Ohio, so it wasn't conducive to an outdoor meeting today. It was really cold, like 15 Fahrenheit in Ohio, anyways. And we did one of those meetings today, and it was a lot more fluid than I thought it was going to be. They text us a bunch of photos of their property prior to snow, and we've got great, of course, like GPS images from a handful of sources. And then we walk through our design process, and we're going to come up with an initial concept right off the bat. And so that I was really hesitant to do anything like that last year. And again, doing it this year already, that was a lot more fluid than I thought it was going to be. So if we need to proceed that way going forward, I'm a lot more open to it, let's say, going forward in 2021 here. So that was cool. I'm way behind the game there, but it was cool.
Well, Caleb, I honestly think that's the future of our industry, and it's like you said, it actually does work out pretty well because we have so much access to like ways of sending pictures. Even if they're large files, there's stuff like Dropbox and whatever, so many different programs out there. But yeah, definitely the Zoom consults will free up a lot of our time, because right now we have the work, we don't have the time. So as much time that we can save as possible is definitely a big plus. So yeah, I'm really a big fan of the Zoom meetings with clients when you don't absolutely have to see them in person.
That was huge for me, and I didn't leverage that in my business this year until literally last week, when I had a customer that I wanted to get their product in and placed, and we had a few issues with their design, and literally a Zoom meeting showing their design and just a few clicks just cleared everything up, as opposed to, and we can't right now because we're actually in lockdown, driving out there, meeting with them, showing them. Just piggybacking off of that was huge. And Hiner, being a big design guy as well, as we're sticking on designs, did you implement that in your business, those virtual meetings with design work?
funny enough, we were already doing it before COVID, having people send us pictures and that kind of stuff. But I really started doubling down on doing concept sketches on the iPad and just using the pencil and sketching that way, because you can just use Google Earth and zoom right in, take a quick screenshot, trace their backyard, start drawing. It just added instant credibility to the process as well. People just seeing the technology fly and just seeing, that happen. It got people a lot more excited about their project as well.
We're in the getting ready to start a large project, and it's a quite a ways from where we are based. So we did two Zoom follow-up meetings just on some design changes and selections of the product, which saved us a bunch of time. I was able to get my designer and myself and the customer 2 different times on meetings. We presented the design that way. We also did follow-ups on Zoom, which saved us a great deal of time. So it's been great for me as well, because as a lot of us were wearing a lot of hats, so it does save time on the meeting itself.
It's kind of nice coming from doing pictures pre-COVID to now in the middle of this. It made it a lot easier to just kind of get people to adapt and accept just sending photos in and having that initial concept either via Zoom or just on the phone and just looking at those. It's almost like they don't want you coming to your house. And so sending the pictures kind of turned it into just a way to streamline the process, have everything just fall into place, and for them to feel like you're not just some weirdo that just is just trying to push them off and not wanting to come out for free. So I feel like that's really helped save us as an industry a bunch of time.
So post-COVID world, does the implementation of Zoom and these video calls, are you going to implement this further into your business? Are you going to continue to embrace this in your guys' businesses? Or once this is all over, are you going to go back to meeting in person as much as possible and showing them the designs in person so that they have that experience?
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback kind of off of what everyone's saying here, but I just had an experience recently where I sent the client 3 different concepts. It seemed like they were going for a concept that I wasn't as fond of, and they were pushing that concept because of the cost efficiency. However, when I put them on Zoom and I was able to really explain to them, what the new design actually brought to them, and how it benefited over other designs. The thing I really like about it, and I think people have kind of vaguely touched on it, but the sharing your screen option. So I can share my screen and I can walk it through with them live, basically just like I would be at their kitchen table or so on and so forth. But yeah, I honestly see a huge benefit in that, because for me, I have my landscape design software in front of me and I can make really quick changes as I'm going about it. So, for instance, we were talking about shed location and orientation of the shed and so on and so forth. So I can basically pull that shed, move it, and show them how it looked in different aspects of the job, which ultimately they went back to our original plan, which is what I wanted them to do. But I think it's beneficial in that way, and showing people things in real live time. So yeah, I myself have just started leveraging the benefits of Zoom recently, especially being the snow season and so on and so forth. But I do see benefits to it going forward 100%.
We'll probably adopt a hybrid program. I've always been a big fan of being in person, looking someone in the eye. I can have a drawing down on a table. I can be sketching and showing them what's going on. We break our design process into a couple different appointments, and one of them we call a progress meeting. The progress meetings are really easy to do through Zoom. They know where our head's at. We can give rough budgets. I'd really like to keep trying to do some in person, because I just feel like that's just the sales side of me, being able to be in person under the right circumstances, of course, with COVID and all that. So we'll probably do a little bit of both. both of them are good, I think. And it's just, I think whatever style that you're used to, I think is one to go for.
I'm gonna say a bit of both too. I like bringing people in. I mean, we have a golf cart. Our location's right in the middle of the stone yard, so we try and make the design process a little bit more of an experience. And we're even taking it a step further and doing more display gardens and little mini patios with different types of water features, just to kind of showcase the different styles that we can tap into. I think people are going to buy in a heck of a lot more if they can touch, feel, and just just hear that sound. There's some things that just Zoom can't do or Instagram can't do, that just see the quality of just kind of slowing down and enjoying the space a little bit more. So I look forward to this being gone and over with personally.
That being said, do you guys find with those meetings that you have with these designs, there's a logistical problem in terms of getting those customers to come in live to speak with you? Or is this something that you've worked around in terms of scheduling with yourselves, your employees?
It's the world now. I think everyone's so used to Zoom meetings. I've had Zoom meetings with everyone, with my accountant, with suppliers, with literally everybody. It's all Zoom meetings now. So I think that at the beginning of all this, it was hard to get people to get on Zoom and all that, just because it was new. But it's just so second nature now that I feel like it's definitely a lot simpler than it was a year ago, or even 6 months ago. Do you guys hear me well, by the way? Because I don't know what the background noise is over here.
Anybody else have any other things that they want to touch on? Things that worked really well in their business last year, big wins last year in 2020.
We implemented Profit First for the first time, which was huge for us. We were more profitable this year with more work, so we raised our margins, and people kept paying. So I needed a process to harvest those profits, and it's been amazing just having the separate bank accounts to put that money in and keep track of everything, and have our equipment expenses and taxes and my pay. Everything's already set out in smaller plates. So I used to do, you get the $100,000 in your bank account, think you got all this money to go buy a skid steer or something, and then you realize that money's already allotted to taxes or, other things that money's earmarked for. So just splitting it out into all the different accounts has helped me so much, and it's encouraged me to keep driving to build that profit account up. And now I've got the money in there when I do, bought a mini excavator, that replaced a couple guys on the crew, which we were fighting the, all the unemployment benefits that the government was giving out. We lost a couple guys that wanted to stay home, and we hired some guys that just wanted to work long enough to get unemployment when I fired them because they were bad hires. But I took the PPP loan, and I was trying to keep my employee level up. So that kind of backfired on me, and we got the money, but now we're down those guys that we had when we were signed up for the loan. So we're still trying to work that out. And I'm now we're coming back to hiring season again for our summer and fall season coming up here. It's going to be busy again, but just getting those basic accounting Profit First systems. And I just went ahead and hired a consultant because I had put it off for a couple of years. I read the book a long time ago and never actually took the initiative to implement it. Was kind of overwhelmed with it all. And then they just put it all into simple terms and sent me the allocations based on our finances and our goals. And we've just been applying that. We allocate our funds to the accounts on the 10th and 25th each month. And it just feels good to put that money right into the bank account instead of just watching it slip through your fingers. You work so hard and then get to the end of the year and it's always I'm where did all the money go? We did a lot of work and not a lot to show for it. So it's made my family life, my wife's much happier to see the money coming in and
definitely
staying with us and not just blowing on toys and different things we think we need. It forces us to tighten up our expenses quite a bit and decide if we actually need something or not. So that was a great addition to how we run our company.
So services, designs and systems in your business are all things that you guys have mentioned. So what about things that didn't go right in 2020? Things that backfired on you, things that you tested within your business and you won't be doing going forward, or just that common trend of labor in trying to find labor. What are those things in 2020 that just did not go right for you in your business?
As someone starting out, I kind of talked about this on the podcast with you, but I was chasing every lead that I could get, and as soon as people heard that I was getting back into installing, I had so many referrals from friends and even contractors and distributors for people that were too busy or looking for something, and we were able to get a fiberglass pool dealership as part of our business. So we just had a lot of things, and I was chasing bids like crazy, and not really even sure where my finances were, where I needed to be. I was trying to guess, and I think some things that backfired for me where I did a couple jobs that were a little too low. Just forgetting all the things that go into it, of course, but also not valuing my time and not qualifying leads ahead of going out. So I've since started qualifying my leads a lot better, but I was just so worried about getting work and getting things rolling. So I would just say that valuing my time and doing a bunch of bids that didn't end up working out and spending a lot of man hours on that. So
definitely,
I learned a little bit from that in the first month, probably. So
gotcha.
Luckily, I learned fast.
I think a lot of us learned to value our time that we never did as business owners this year, just because it was such an influx of clients and demand that we couldn't possibly sit with everybody. We couldn't possibly be everywhere at once. So I think that we all really learned to value our time. Because I think as a business owner, the biggest thing is we don't value our time. We don't put a monetary value to it. And, I've kind of figured that I have an X amount that I think I'm worth an hour. So, but this year taught me that. And I definitely want to make sure that I'm compensated for my time, obviously by charging for designs, which I never did before. This year opened the door to a lot of that. It allowed us to charge for designs just because we had so many to do that it came down to saying, you know what, if you're serious, then you'll pay for it. And it's not like we're being crooks or we're asking for anything that's unrealistic. We're just asking to be paid for our time. So yeah, definitely valuing our time was a big thing that came out of 2020.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of build off of what Craig said there. I kind of made the mistake at the beginning of the year of possibly undervaluing how much people would invest in outdoor living spaces and took the wrong jobs. So I too was a little bit concerned about making sure that my crew was busy, that the business was busy, that our machines were paid for, that our payroll was paid for, stuff like that. So I took the wrong jobs probably about halfway through the year. Because we started booking so fast at the beginning, I was taking the wrong jobs. And I quickly realized that, but we were taking the wrong jobs, and we weren't we were still just as profitable as far as the percentage standpoint, but we were taking smaller jobs than our company is equipped for. So with the amount of equipment and so on and so forth that we have and the employee wages, we were taking the wrong jobs. So that was a big thing for me. And then obviously just employees, it's a continuous struggle for us with employees. So we're still trying to find the right balance for employees. We do have pretty good incentive programs in place. However, we hired 5 guys last year. All 5 guys ended up leaving us at some point through the year. We brought 1 guy back that we knew we shouldn't have brought back, but we brought him back and ended up having to let him go as well. So continuous struggle with employees, but I think the main lesson learned last year was, as you know, Tony and Craig have touched on, is know your value, know, you know, what jobs work for your company. There's no need wasting your time on jobs that don't work for the size of your company or infrastructure of your company. So that was a big learning point for us.
I think what went wrong with us last year is we didn't stick to the process. We have a lot of processes that we put in place with the team, and it got busy. You know, we thought we weren't going to be busy at first, and then everything just exploded. And every process we made, we just kind of threw out the window. It was we were chickens with our head cut off at some point. And myself included, and as owners, we're probably the worst ones. We make all the processes here in the spring, and we're like, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we end up, you know, being the worst ones and breaking the process. And that's the thing that we just, you know, we got busy, and every process we made, we didn't do it. And you know, now we're trying to get back on track. So.
I'd say for me,
Amen to that.
I waited too long to pay attention to which leads were actually turning into jobs and where I was spending my marketing dollars. It wasn't until the beginning of January this year that I took a look at that, and you know, out of the 120 some Google leads that we got, and the, you know, 30,000 plus that we spent getting them, that equated to like 2 small jobs of the 2 million we did in business. And so that was eye-opening. That, I mean, that could have been dollars that we put to something else, and or recategorized, and not to mention 100 leads, 100 phone calls, you know, that we were spending, you know, just wasting our time too. So looking at that sooner than later.
We like our biggest, I guess, punch in the face. Like, I've punched myself in the face a lot of times in 30 years. And, you know, this year I was rushing through stuff, and I was tired, and I'm old. And someone asked me to pull an item out of a project, and it was attached to a retaining wall that we needed. And, you know, I pulled out the whole item because I had it all as one item in the original quote. And I didn't put the retaining wall back in, and I closed the job and I signed the deal. And we got there and demoed the backyard, and I was like, fuck, we need a retaining wall here. This is not good. And so whatever, it was a $5,000 hit to us, and I took it hard. Like, you know, you don't learn your lessons if you don't pay for them. So can't go back to the client on a signed deal. And so I know better than to do stuff at 2:00 in the morning when I'm tired, but I did it anyways. So it was a $5,000 lesson that I learned. And, you know, so it was a valuable lesson to learn again. Although I think I've learned it 10 times before, and I'll probably learn it next season. But it, you know, I think that was our biggest, you know, sort of thing that went sideways for us. And that was 100% on me. It had nothing to do with anyone else. So.
I struggle with the, while you're here, you know, and the things that you just like, oh yeah, we'll take care of that for you. And then it turns into, you know, a 10-hour job or something. And you're like, oh, geez. So, yeah.
I used to do that. I used to do that so much. It was probably my biggest vice when I first started, was literally that. It was constantly like, oh, you know what? Don't worry. I'll take care of that for you. Or I'll take care of that for you. I would extra material, extra time, whatever it is. And it took me like years to finally put my foot down and say, why do I owe that to anybody? You know, it's nothing wrong with doing something nice for a client, but I think that what we offer them is a service and not necessarily a free service. They're hiring us. If they're willing to kind of persuade us to do things for free, I think it's a big sign of disrespect for the work that we put in. Not that they mean it that way always, but, you know, a lot of times clients try, that's for sure. And even the best ones will try to get something. It's kind of just the market, and it's just being in business. And so, yeah, definitely I learned that a while ago. And the second I stopped that and just started saying, you know what, you want it, here's the price. And then it's up to the client. If they want to go forward with it, cool. And if they don't, at least you didn't waste time and money. Yeah, that was a big factor that played in my profits.
Yeah, Tony, funny you say that. Like, I just went through my first almost full year of having an in-house design salesperson, and so that's been a process for me to let go of my sales a little bit and bring in clients that I'm not vetting and that I'm not personally dealing with. And so I'm learning a lot of I'm reliving a lot of the mistakes that I made, but I'm letting her make some of those mistakes, and bringing in clients that just want to like take advantage of you while you're out there, and just a lot of little things. And I'm like, wow, I've lived this already, and now I'm just kind of having to train and pour into her to let her know that, hey, you're causing this, you're inviting these bad clients into this business, like into our clientele. And so that the only common denominator is you. And when you feel those red flags, that's when you have to draw a harder line in the sand with your policies and going over your contract in more detail, and really kind of make sure that it's funny, if you read our fine print, each one of those has a story behind it, and it just keeps getting longer and longer. And when it's just you doing
contract clause has a
go off
story,
of instinct a little bit better. But when I started letting go and letting salespeople kind of represent our brand and our company, it's like, man, I'm really learning that we have to lean into this contract and to these policies even more. I came to find out, like just today, I'm not a big fan of concrete as it is, but it's a budget option. I went out to a job today, and the homeowner had gone behind our back and talked to our subcontractor and had him do a smooth finish and changing the forms as the concrete truck was there, and all these last minute changes. And long story short, now the thing has to be ripped out because it was just, I don't know. It just, like, that wouldn't have happened had I been in control. But now that I've got a designer in place, these things I'm having to let go and let her make these mistakes and then coach her through it. And we're still having to own it as a company and get through it as a team. But it's funny, just the different stages that we're going through. And Dan, I'm sure you've got multiple salespeople. I'm sure you could probably speak to that.
Yeah, that's guys, that's the growing pains. That's if you want to scale. I mean, you've got to, Matt, I deal with the same thing. You gotta let go at some point. And, my other sales reps, they've made some mistakes and they've learned from them, and, everyone's getting better, and that's part of it. It's tough though, as an owner too, knowing, trying not to micromanage and do things for them. You gotta let them breathe. And we've had a lot of those mistakes too. But we've also had a lot of wins. You got to recognize the wins. Mm-hmm. And that's, as an owner too, that's what I'm trying to get better at is, we look at, everything that happened that was wrong. Really, it's a big deal, but you gotta recognize when these guys win, because it's just going to reinforce it, and it's going to build them up, and they're going to bleed for you, and so that's something we're trying to get better at, and that's part of it, is messing up, and the mistakes is you want that to happen, because that's the only way you're going to learn.
And Dan, it seems like you kind of have you built, like me, do you try and like build a culture that's, that you're making it safe to make mistakes, and where people aren't afraid that if they make a mistake, their job is on the line?
Yeah. I mean, that you don't want that type of culture where people are afraid to make a mistake, and they're I told a lot of my staff, like, I want you to mess up. Let's every time we have a mistake, we don't want mistakes, but when they are, let's say, all right, what happened here, and how do we stop this from happening again? And that's how we try to approach it. And 3, 4, 5 years ago, I was, probably not as good at taking mistakes. And that's just as growing and having other people in your business that they're wearing your name. I'm really trying to, and I'm still working on it. I have moments where I see a mistake and I'm like, gosh, come on. How'd that happen? What happened there, guys? And, you gotta grow with them too. I mean, they're growing, trying to build stuff for you, and you've got to grow with them and learn to accept some things that as an owner that are just going to be there. And it's a kind of a two-way street.
I think the hardest lesson I ever learned managing people was that just because someone does it differently than I would do it doesn't make it wrong. It makes it different. And, for me to learn that I still learn it every day. Like someone's doing something, I'm like, well, it's not wrong. It's just different. And it's not necessarily the way I would do it. And that's okay, because they're all different people and we're all trying to get to an end. And I always say to people, can you tell me why you did it that way? And if you can explain why you did it that way, and it wasn't because I want to get home or I don't care, then I accept that and say, okay, but to get to that point, like you said, Dan, it's a long, arduous road to get to that point where you can say it's not wrong, it's just different. It's not the way I would have done it. But that's always been a big challenge for me.
I know when I was a solo operator, I knew how much stuff I would screw up in a week, and I would break or back over, or you name it. It's stupid with a capital S. And I knew every person, this is one of the few things I could pick up on, because I've done plenty of stupid. I knew that every person I hired would just multiply that factor, right? And the human element in your company, you're never going to eliminate that of just the human factor of error. And I think the guys that can figure that out the fastest and not fly off the handle when their people mess something up, and like these guys are saying, like, you roll with it. What do we learn from it? How can we move forward from it and not hopefully do it again or do it as bad next time? Just sets you up for scaling if you want to, and just that much more success down the road. So
I just want to intervene with a quick question here for Matt and Dan. Just like, where was the point that you guys decided that it was the right point for you guys to start expanding your business, to get out of the sales process, the design process? This is something I struggle with constantly. Personally, I am a more hands-on person. That's how I used to have a past business partner where I was the partner that was on site. That partner left me, so I took on the admin, the design, the sales part of the business. So obviously I love being on site. It's my passion. However, this is where I'm at, and I struggle with the burden of allowing someone to handle my business and wear my name. So at what point in your business did you guys decide that it was a right point for you to jump ship and basically give someone that responsibility?
It's, you got to ask yourself a question. Do you want to be a boss or a leader?
For sure.
If you want to lead people and you step back and that's a tough question. You got to ask yourself what you want. I'm having trouble with it too. I want to step back, and I'm constantly stepping back. Britt, my sales and design guy, he's taken over and killing it. And I will say it's nice I love seeing them win. That's more important now than me winning and, having these big designs and trying to make the sales. So I think watching your employees win is key for me. And that's what's helped me step back, because I want to see them win. I want to see I got a younger sales rep, Jose, and he just sold one today and he was so excited. So those are moments that I found that I was worried at first, but now I enjoy. They come and ask me questions. They say, hey, let's look at this design, run this through with me. Do you think this works? And I can give some insight. I I can help them out. And it's, you know, it's kind of like I'm still on the design board, but I'm able to give guidance, and I'm able to look at other things in the company and help run the company. And I'm not running around like I used to. I used to work crazy hours, didn't see my family. And now I'm able to step back, and hopefully these guys are learning from me, and they're able to take on more. And you know, I think that was probably a long-winded answer, but I would say step back and look, and what do you want to, you know, what do you want? Some people might want to be outside 24/7, and you might want to hire someone to run the business, or it might be vice versa. I think you got to ask the question first is, what do you want?
Yeah, no, that's good feedback.
I'd add to that, like, I mean, go ahead, whoever.
No, sorry, it's me. I'm in the dark over here because I'm actually driving, so I have to shut the light. But yeah, basically, for me, it was really a point where I had to decide what I wanted to leave to my kids. Because from the beginning, I've always said that I'm building this business and I'm building this brand for my kids if they choose to go that route. And if they don't, then I've never had a hell of a lot of fun along the way. But, you know, being so hands-on and doing everything yourself, I could only teach them the trade. I can't leave them kind of like a package or something where they can build off of, more than just knowing how to build awesome landscapes. You know, and I have a son and a daughter, so not to say like what maybe my one or the other will want to be more office or more field or whatever the case is. You can't do that if you're limited to only being on the job and only building. So I definitely wanted to broaden the business to something where I can concentrate on expanding it as well to different areas like real estate, whatever the case is. Definitely from day one, my goal in this has always been to build a legacy for my children and to build something for my children. So this is really where I need to step back and understand that I need to put the right people in place. And another big factor, and it's morbid to talk about, and my wife hates when I have this conversation, but I always say, you know, like, you never know what happens in life. And should, for whatever reason, knock on wood, something happen, you know, my family has to eat. So I need to figure out a way to establish, you know, procedures and put the right people that this company can keep going, at least for a little while, you know, if I were not capable. So that's kind of where I opened my eyes to say, like, I can only be a lone wolf for so long, because if I'm not here, my family can't eat. So it's a big mishmash of things, but for sure, I had to step back and have the right people in place. And I can't stress that enough. I know I keep repeating it, but I can't stress it enough, is have the right people in place. The wrong person will
having some internet issues over there in Quebec right now.
So
Tony, we're going to pass it over to Matt.
I'm going to add to that, like, hiring is a skill, and it's not something that sucked at it at first. And so you got to give yourself a couple things to add to that. That first step is scary, you know, and you know, investing in people is just as important as investing into that next piece of equipment. And oftentimes you're going to want to hire that person before the budget allows for it. But if you hire the right person, they're going to, you know, pay for themselves. And if they're not paying for themselves, and if they're not a good culture fit, then we've all heard the term slow to hire, quick to fire. You got to get them out quickly. If it's not, you got to do yourself a favor, and you got to do them a favor and let them find a job where they're going to be able to succeed and flourish if it's not going to be your company. So, you know, spend some time and dial in your core values of who you are and what you're about and where you're going with your company, because that's how you're going to be able to bring somebody into your company and get them excited about where you're going together. And that's when you're going to be able to lead them to that next step. And then you're going to want to set proper goals and expectations of what winning looks like. So when you do bring them in, you can set, you know, A players, winners, they want to fly. They don't want to be micromanaged. So you got to give them a platform to where they can perform and they can do their job. And you got to be able to have some accountability to, you know, show them what winning looks like, whether that's sales, gross profit. You know, that's probably a different topic for another night, but yeah, that's what I would add to that.
Going off of what you just said there, you know, I heard identifying where you want to take your business, who that next hire is, which is among goal setting in your business. And that also comes into exactly what you said there. Sometimes the budget doesn't allow it, but you identify a space that you want to grow and you go for it. Goal setting in 2021 for your business, what does that look like? And how did you identify that that was your goal in your business? Dan and Matt, you were talking about hiring there, and how do you know who to hire next? Is that part of goal setting for the year? And what does that look like for your budget as well as everyone else? What equipment are you going to buy this year? What systems are you going to implement? Anything in terms of goal setting, and what does that look like in terms of how did you identify that was the space in your business that you were going to improve for this year?
As far as like you mentioned, like hiring and goals, like we sit down with the team and we analyze what parts we're missing, what parts we want to get better at, and we make sure it works within our new budget. And we try to budget that salary, even though they're not hired yet. We try to budget that into our 2021 budget, and we work on a success profile of, you know, what we want this person to be like, and their attributes and what would make them successful. And then we start with the process of you know, the interview and all that. And that's, I mean, we're looking for a few spots now that we've had some meetings and we've made the success profiles. And I think that's where you need to start with on hiring is, you know, you got to fit it into the budget somehow. And like Matt said, it's, you know, sometimes you don't know if you're going to be able to cover them, but if they're a good fit, you'll find a way. That's how I would approach, and that's how we approach hiring. I would say, as far as goal setting, back to kind of what I said earlier, our main goal this year is just to stick with the process. We're, you know, every process we make, we need to stick to it and be consistent. And when we're consistent with processes and it's a routine, we're successful. And when we don't do any of those, it's a bad day. So that's me trying to be, you know, as an owner, trying to be real simple with the process and have us follow them. So I don't know if that answered all your questions or not, but
I had a lot in there. That was a really long-winded question, but it goes to everyone. And yeah, how do you, what goals did you set for 2021 in your business if you haven't already? And how did you identify those goals in terms of that's the space in your business that you are going to improve for 2021? What steps do you take in place there? Whoever wants to continue with that.
So we have I don't ever want to work in an office and not work in the field. Like, I want to die with a shovel. So we have a controlled growth plan, and we look for opportunities where we can grow that don't absorb mass amounts of my time. And so we go and look at all the different divisions we have and how much of that time is being absorbed for me having to take care of it. So, you know, the trucking division for us doesn't absorb a ton of my time. I got to book the truck, deal with the maintenance, but it's not like I need to be with the truck every day, all day to have it out earning. And then we set aside money for opportunity. So, you know, we had an opportunity to buy a tandem roll-off truck. So we bought it because we saw the opportunity to buy the truck. We had the money set aside for an opportunity, not necessarily that one. And then we know we have clients for that truck already. One of our main clients has been bugging us to buy a truck like that for 2 years. So, and then in terms of hiring someone, you know, we have we have really good experience with hiring women. So we try to promote that in our business. And we try to create an inclusive culture to make sure that, everyone in Durham region knows that if you're a woman and you want to work in a landscaping position, you call us. So I literally signed the deal for the truck, and we had a woman randomly apply with the right license looking for a job driving the truck. But I think that's because we created that environment that would invite the right people to come to us and not necessarily have us looking for them.
Well, like the truck that I'm in right now, my portable office. Sorry, guys, I got cut off before. Just whole internet went garbage. But yeah, I mean, I said I'm looking for a driver for this truck in the summer, and I'm definitely more towards hiring a woman. I mean, you have definitely more experience with it, but from what I've seen and from what I've acquired from other people that have hired women to drive 4-axles, tri-axles, and all that, is they're so much more careful with the truck, for one, and they work a hell of a lot harder. So yeah, definitely. I think our industry's kind of shifted that way, where there's a lot more women working in the field than ever before. So it's kind of cool in that aspect.
For us, something that's driven our goal for 2021 is scheduling the kind of jobs we want, and not just like this time of the year when the schedule's not booked up like we would like it to be. You get scared and you just want to book up everything you can, right? And make sure you got the schedule booked out. And we're trying to hold our cards, hold our hand, and wait for the onslaught of desperate work, I guess you could say, of people that have waited too long. Evan Kohler said this really good the other day on Instagram somewhere. It was talking about your biggest asset is availability, and if you're available, you can cherry pick those jobs that are desperate to have you there, probably going to pay a higher premium for them. And I've taken that to really try to hold off and really pick through the leads that are coming in this time of year, to try to stave off as much as I can stomach the uncertainty scheduling out into the future. And that's been a big thing for me going into 2021 here, is trying to hold off on that. And then buying a shop and building a facility. We're renting a facility at the moment that's under capacity for what we need, and for inventory and fuel tanks and things like that. It's just killing us, nickel and dime, straws that are breaking the camel's back kind of deal. And so we're trying to lock down a piece of land, build a facility to have better inventory, fuel cells on site, and stuff like that. So those are our two big goals. And the goals are driven essentially by friction in the company now. So things that are causing jams and friction, we're setting our goals going forward to get rid of that kind of friction in the company. So
yeah, I mean, I'll jump in here. Our goals this year really are just to track our hours better. So similar to how Dan mentioned, we had a bunch of processes going into 2020, and we wanted to hit all of our processes, and then for whatever reason, this, that, and the other, they all hit the fan, and nothing really happened as planned. So for this year, I'm really trying to track our processes, track our hours, use my partner that's on site full time to track those hours, so that I can look back at these jobs, whether it be a flat patio, whether it be a patio that's elevated, so on and so forth, look at the man hours that are associated to every single aspect of that job, and be able to know confidently that when I quote the next job that I, missed on the last one, or I overquoted on the one before that, so on and so forth. So that's a big thing for us this year. How I'm going to achieve that is I'm going to add an extra employee. Not saying because, we all go through that employee turnover, but if that employee sticks around, that's great. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But the whole goal is for my partner, Derek, to do a lot more managing and a lot more tracking while he's on site than actual working. So that's a huge goal for us. I mean, I don't use any fancy software. I don't use Auman. I don't use these things. I'm a paper and pen guy, and so is my partner. We have sheets printed out. I've, inputted all of our hours for certain aspects of the job. So it's really just keeping documentation of how long jobs are taking us, so that, it's less of a guessing game and it's more of a, I know we can do this with this amount of infrastructure. So, going off of that, I'm trying to hit all of our goals. So, we have an X amount of hours in the season that our employees can make. And in order to hit my budget and my profit goals, we need to hit those hours. So whatever I can do to help out and hitting those hours, that's kind of what we're trying to do, is make sure that we hit all of our billable hours and we make the profits that, we deserve to make. So yeah, that's my big goal this year, is tracking and hitting hours.
Our goal is definitely to increase the margins in life, in our business, all areas, profit. So we're just trying to get a little more lean in reducing waste in our processes. Like everyone's setting up their hardscape trailers and whatnot. We've had our trailer for years now, but we pretty much had it dedicated to irrigation. So we're going to go more into trying to get that on jobs more frequently, and then just trying to hire one more a good crew leader that can run a crew for us, to reduce my time in the field and free up a little more margin in my personal life as well. My wife's been saying she'd like to spend more time with me for some reason, but she's supporting my goals, but they come at a cost too. So you got to keep your family in mind as well, and my kids and whatnot. And that's a huge part of my life and why we do what we do. So I have to put the attention I put into my business, I need to be putting even more into my family. And it's kind of been reversed for the last few years. It's like this whole baby I've created on my own, and she's kind of looking at it from the outside because she works full time on her own career, and she's kind of seeing what I'm doing as I go and the frustration. So I want her to experience the fruits of it this year. And so I've just kind of been taking a hard look at why we're doing what we're doing and where we want to focus. And seems like we really excel at the hardscapes. We make higher margins. We've been doing a lot of new construction work with a high-end builder in Kansas City, which leads us into the high-end projects, because we do their irrigation landscape designs from the beginning, and then it leads into maybe a nice, $60,000 to $100,000 backyard eventually. So we've been trying to work that out, but having a full-time crew that could just dedicate themselves to the new builds to feed us the high-end hardscape work we need and get in the face of those clients is kind of our goal. And again, just making sure my family knows that they're my priority over the business, not to just get that in my mind, because even when I'm out on a date, I'll be thinking about a patio coming up or a design I haven't got finished yet or whatnot. It's always in the back of my head when I should be focused on my wife or my kids. So working hard to do that. It's a constant struggle, but it's easy to get carried away with the entrepreneurial spirit I have, just trying to start new ventures and different things. So, and my wife is very supportive, probably overly. She kind of feeds into it, but my big goals, just I want to be like Andy Mulder and take a vacation every now and then and put
Seems every week he's on a vacation.
Yeah, you can't. Andy took all the money out of the industry. There's no money left. So
We're going to do a bunch of Instagram stories too, like all day.
Yeah. Diving deeper into budgeting here. I've heard marketing, I've heard hiring. Couple questions just to vary it for everybody here. How do you set your marketing budget based on looking at last year and where you're going to put the money this year? And how much money are you going to put into it this year? Where does that come from? How does that fit into your budget, as well as the strategy of where you're going to go, as well as just to vary this so that it appeals to anybody, everybody here, and you can choose kind of what question you want to answer. Hiring in your business, are you more reactionary in terms of our crews are able to do this much work now, so now we can hire a designer, or now we can hire a salesperson / project manager? Or are you more so, we can hire a designer, and then we'll kind of build up our crews to that point that they'll be able to manage that workload that's going to come in from that designer? However you want to run with that, and either question that you kind of want to go down in terms of either marketing or hiring and what that looks like in your business.
Oh, can I go on that one?
Yep.
I got to run, so thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Sorry to interrupt you there, Mr. Scheller. I got to run.
No problem.
Good night.
No problem,
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Hey, Caleb.
See y'all. Have a good one.
Caleb.
So I didn't do hardly any marketing last year because I got so many referrals as I was getting back in. So one thing I was worried about was spending money, just starting out in my business. So one thing that Josh and a couple other people have challenged me on is my brand and getting that out there. So and just having people know who you are. And we've started off with some really nice projects, I would say. And if I don't have my brand along with that, then it's kind of hard for people to say, well, who did that for you, or where do I find them, or whatever. So I've been focusing this the first month of the year on, getting our truck done. We got a quote to get our enclosed trailer wrapped. We have to hold off on that a bit, but we're doing our uniforms and our hats and things like that, and just trying to hopefully getting to somebody to get my website a little bit better, because I'm not doing very well with that. But just a good place for people to land and find us, and know where to find us. And then as far as hiring, I'm actually doing that very slowly, because I'm a contractor, by trade. All right, got a little interruption. It's Cody. Mama's busy right now, so we're trying to do. I'm just focusing on equipment and equipping the employee I have, and equipping myself to be more efficient. And I'm still working on the projects, and I also did profit first starting out. So it's really helped me to kind of focus on being more lean, and not just hiring people because I think I need them, but hiring people that are going to make a difference, and focusing more of my attention on getting the tools and equipment that we need as we start out, and then hiring people, to fill the positions and take some weight off of me in the future. So that's kind of the way I'm progressing into that.
We've kind of analyzed where we think we can have more production hours, but we need more sales to do that. And in order to have more sales, we need to sell more, of course. And right now, all of my designers are also project managers. So it makes the process for them a little bit longer, because after they design, they also run the project. And so what we're doing is we're going to look for some project managers now. The jobs have gotten to the scale where they're a lot of work, after the design. And so we're going to bring in several project managers, and work on splitting the designer's job just to designing and not running the project. So I think that, like, in the terms, Mike, of your question, when we hire, we try to analyze, what we need and what would help us excel and hit budgets and all that. So that's kind of our angle of attack for the hiring piece. What was the other question?
Just in terms of marketing, identifying areas that you're going to move into this year as opposed to last year, and how much you're going to spend on that. What does that look like for you for budgeting?
That's a wild question. We came up with a budget figure a long time ago, and we try to stick to that, because you can end up spending a bunch of money really quick on your TV, your radio, hats, logos, and we've got a budget figure, and we have a director of marketing, and that's kind of her goal, is to use what is given and do some analytics and some research onto where that money is best applied.
Right.
It's kind of a general question. I don't know if I answered it right, but it's hard. It's probably different for everyone here too. That's always a tough one, because you don't know what to spend until you do some research.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I can feed off of that. Definitely went in the wrong direction last year as far as marketing. I touched on several different marketing avenues and really learned what worked for us. So just for instance, roughly our budget last year was about $30K for marketing. And we have dropped that to about $11,000 this year. Just because obviously we're booking much further in advance. So I don't feel the need to heavily invest in that. And I do hold that same value. Sorry, I forget who mentioned it earlier. But I think it was Caleb actually. The desperate people will come, and they won't be able to find anyone else that has availability. So availability being another marketing tool. Yeah, I mean, we've really scaled down our marketing just because of our ability to book further in advance, and tried to focus on, the marketing that actually brings in value. We went back at the beginning of the year here, we looked at all of our marketing streams, and we looked at the ones that brought us in, not necessarily the most jobs, but the jobs that yielded the highest profits. And that's where we're going to focus our attention this year. So that's my budget going into this year. Hopefully it'll be less, potentially it could be more, but that's where we're at as far as marketing goes.
We are putting more. I want to revamp our website and get a better higher end image instead of we look like a little more small time than I want to look. So I want to look the part and get the higher end projects and do our due diligence and looking the part more, even keeping our trucks clean, all the basic stuff, but just want to get away from looking like we just do your little front yard retaining walls and whatnot. Like, want to be more viewed as the high-end custom outdoor builders and creators that we are. Like, that's where our talent lies. So I want to just, in the beginning, I was taking everything, and people call and they say, "Oh, you did my friend Nancy's front yard and it looked great, and I want you to do ours." And it's like, well, this is not who we are anymore. So trying to get past clients beyond that, calling us, expecting a free design and stuff that we offered in the beginning. Like, well, now we charge, and we're trying to get away from these. So I just want to look that part. And I made my own website on Squarespace when I started, because it was cheap and easy, and it's gotten by. And some people think it looks great and it works, but I just, I think we've outgrown that now. So we're moving past that. So it's just keeping, we get a lot of referrals, but even on when I started, I used Home Advisor and Angie's List, and we were just getting terrible lead after terrible lead. I was going after anything we could get, and I spent a lot of money on some of those avenues, and they just ended up at a dead end. So we've pulled back on all that. We're not involved in any of that anymore, it seems like there's 100 people wanting to find work. We can get you leads, but there's never anyone to help you find the people to do all the work. So it's I don't need 100 people to tell me how to get leads. We've got no problem with that. It's finding people to get it done. So I have a hard time spending too much on marketing when I really need to put that into hiring and maybe, adding some benefits and making our company a better place to work, to attract the people to get all the work done. But I think you still have to keep the funnel full of good potential leads coming in that you can choose from, and you're not, having to take whatever comes your way. So
Definitely.
we don't have a huge marketing budget, but I do have a line item to kind of revamp our website and tie it in with our Instagram, which I'm trying to kind of document more of our processes, because this year seems to be the first year I've gotten a lot of leads through Instagram on some really nice projects, because they've been following us for the last year and they see who we are. They get to know my personality and the type of work we do. And then they call in and want, a nice backyard like they've seen on Instagram. So kind of linking that with our website, so it's all out there, easier to access, and just using some of those free resources like social media. There's a lot of different ways to get your name out there other than, the typical expensive marketing schemes that companies put out there. So
yeah. Mike, Matt, or Tony, any words on those two areas of your business before we kind of close things down here?
Well, go ahead, Mike.
Okay. We used like house. Like I usually don't ever participate in any of those services, and but with the change in the environment and everyone being locked down, and I bid on my own anxiety, and we signed up for House, and they sent me 40 leads for decks, which I can't even make that up. Like they literally sent me lead after lead for decks, and I'm like, really, people? So, I mean, obviously we're going to cancel this service, and traditionally, my marketing.
I'll take those if you want.
I was going to say, hey, I live in your region, Mike. I'll take them.
I send you deck leads.
And I do them.
So, I mean, traditionally for me, I spend a vast amount of time, and Jordan said, he's from our area, and he would tell you that everyone knows me. I spend a vast amount of time building relationships, because I don't believe that Facebook or Google or any of these services, Craigslist, Angie's List, Homestars, I don't believe any of them save you when you're in trouble. I believe that the people you have a connection with and your friends will save you when you're in trouble. So if I have nothing to do, I have about 10 people I can call and say, hey man, I got to go somewhere. I need something to do. And they all will help us out. Jordan being one of those people. We're plowing snow for Jordan this year. He's helping us out. He's keeping a couple of our machines busy, and that's because it takes time to build a relationship. So, for me, when I'm driving home from a project, I pick someone off my phone and I give them a call, and I talk to them for half an hour, 45 minutes, and build those relationships, and then they come back to help us when we really need them. Same as Jordan knows he could call me if he needed. So, although he crushes it, so he would never call me, but he could if he wanted to, right? But I think that building those relationships is our style of marketing, and I don't have a particular money budget for it, but it's my time, and I try to squeeze it in whenever I'm doing something that isn't productive, like driving somewhere or to build long-term. Like our biggest client is someone I met from Instagram and then built a relationship with them, and now we have one crew that's booked for 2 years with him straight. And then we'll have our residential stuff going on, and he takes our trucks, and that's from a relationship we built over a long period of time that, essentially cost me dollar-wise nothing, time and effort, a lot. So, I mean, I guess my marketing budget is more how much time do I want to spend on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat, not necessarily 100% same, but I have to say I've been very lucky. We're booked up for the entire 2021 season, so we're actually adding crews just to create availability, which I mean is an obstacle by itself. But I have to say, marketing-wise, if I say we spend $500 a year, that would be exaggerated. I every now and then I would sponsor an ad or sponsor a post or promote or whatever it is, but my business is mostly all Instagram driven. In my market, We are in a very niche sector. We've built that over time with the projects we've been building, but yeah, I mean, I couldn't justify spending any money on marketing right now, just because we have more leads than we could possibly handle, and they're all good leads. I'd say I'm on a 90% good lead ratio right now. So I can't argue with that. So I honestly have no marketing budget. Obviously, there's money spent on lettering trucks and stuff, but I don't do that necessarily for marketing purposes. I do that just to kind of flex more than anything. But yeah, it's Instagram for me has worked very well, and it's a free platform. And honestly, it's just fun. Instagram is fun to do. A lot of people say, I don't know where you find the time to do it. It's on the job. It's not like I stop everyone and say, hey, I want to film this. Can you stop that? Or can you do this? And I'll film. No, it's just grab it as it goes. Plus I get texts from my wife hey, post something. It's all right, cool. I'll post it. So yeah, all the time, by the way. Most of the posts you see in the middle of the day have a text behind them saying, Instagram's dry, post something. So that's pretty awesome there. But yeah, I'm on marketing. I can't really say much to it as far as budget and where to spend it, because I've been very lucky in the sense that the last 3 years I have not had to spend a penny on marketing, and it's worked out well so far. But obviously, adding crews, we have the demand for it, but who knows? When you start adding, we're in this explosion of leads due to COVID, as I said earlier. But eventually that's going to dry out. People are going to start going on vacation again. And, that's kind of the biggest fear I have with adding crews, is that I have all the work for them now, but eventually I know that I will, or I assume I will have to start investing a little bit more in marketing to keep feeding them, or just kind of downsize to double what I am now, but half of what I'll be next year. So that's more of a question to answer in the following years than right now. I wish I had better advice, but I don't, because I don't fall into that category. Again, luckily, but I know it's not the norm.
And Matt, final words on this subject in terms of budgeting, hiring, and marketing.
Yeah, as someone that spent a lot of money in marketing in all the wrong places, I would just kind of echo social media. Choose your platform. Instagram works well for us just because it's very visual, and the leads. I saw a huge transition last year in our business, that leads coming from Instagram are just such higher quality because we already have that relationship with them. You never know who's watching and who's in your area and who's watching and who's going to be ready and when they're going to be ready. So it's crazy to just see that transition, and it is free. And so, but pick one and stick with it and saturate it, rather than listening to all these marketing so-called experts that say you got to be on Twitter, you got to be on YouTube, this, that, and all those. Just pick one, put all your time to that, and and just have fun with it. One that resonates.
I'd also say, in this time, what Josh was saying was, I've really been focusing on whenever I put something out, it's a picture or a job that that's the type of work I want. We haven't done a ton of jobs necessarily, but don't put out the things that you don't want to do. Just because you did the job doesn't mean you have to post a picture of it. Mm-hmm. But it's actually you go in the direction you want people to. So I've been doing that, and I used in my business before, we did everything, and it's I'd always get these little calls, and it's oh, I guess we'll come do it, or I'll come take a look, and the cost of mobilization for some of those things is almost the same as doing a larger project. So I'm just focusing on the projects I want to do, which is construction type projects, and hardscape focused and outdoor living. So that's our name, that's our focus. And that's what we're promoting, and that seems to be working well and kind of weeding out a lot of calls for work that we don't really want. So.
I'm going to add one thing that kind of contradicts myself earlier. There is actually one aspect that I forgot to mention, that we will be spending, I guess you can call it marketing dollars, in the sense that we're actually going to be hiring professional photographers this year to take proper shots of our projects, and we're going to be submitting projects to the different organizations, because now I'm kind of on this, some of you know, I just won a HNA award, and it's super, super exciting, and I'm really honored, but it lit this fire that I'm like, I want one, I want two, I want three, and I want one from the APPQ, and I want one from Landscape Ontario. And so I'm going to be investing in that, in the sense that I will be hiring professional photographers, because as well as I take my pictures and I have my drone and all that, nothing beats somebody who does this professionally and submitting that. So I guess in the sense, if it does, result in any kind of awards, that is marketing, in a sense that that we can't get now without going that route. So that, if I'm going to be spending money somewhere, that's where it's going to be this year. And it's actually very simple.
Yep.
It's very simple too. That's the thing. It's super simple. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies do great work are not submitting. And it's a shame, because there's so many different organizations that credit our business, and we work really hard, and we deserve credit from time to time. And I feel like we don't acknowledge how much hard work we put into it. So the awards kind of show you that it just kind of gives you some kind of credibility too, and I'm excited about that. So yeah, that's where I'm spending my marketing dollars this year. I don't know of a budget, I don't know how much, but I'm going to take it as it goes and see what comes out of the end of the funnel.
Matt, continue there. You had cut off, so Craig kind of filled in the dead noise there.
Oh, it's all good. No, I was just saying, we hired a professional photographer, flew him in. Actually, he found me on Instagram because I had put the plug out saying that I was looking for somebody to come take pictures of our projects, and worth every penny. I paid a small fortune for it, but now I've got a huge folder full of content to share and sprinkle out as I need it. And it just really leveled up our game completely. And so I would second that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I did the same thing this year. So I had 6 jobs shot this year, but next year, with book jobs, I probably have 8 I want to get shot, and then I'm going to have 3 shot during the process. So yeah, I think that holds a ton of value in having a professional do that. So yeah, that's again part of my marketing budget, and where I budget dollars for is to have that kind of stuff done.
I would add in, if you're spending the money on a photographer, make sure you've got a day, night or two where you can bring in people and fill your spaces with people. Take them with and without, because we're not just selling pavers. We're not selling. We're selling a lifestyle.
For sure.
And we want to invite people into that lifestyle. And when you bring people in there, they can relate to that, and it humanizes it. It's gonna, and then they could see themselves being friends with those people in the photos. I mean, I didn't really capitalize on that in this photo shoot. I did some with my family, but some of those were my favorite photos. And so next summer, when I try and do a couple more, I'm going to make sure that I'm bringing in more people into that, so it can really sell that lifestyle and just show people that are happy spending time outside, having that dinner party, or roasting those marshmallows on those fire pits we build, and show them how they can use that space that we're creating for them.
Yeah.
Dude, that is such an awesome idea.
Great idea.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, like we're selling an experience, like you said, Matt. I mean, it's the memories, it's outdoor living. We're not selling concrete, we're selling outdoor living. So I think that's a great point, is to bring in, like you said, either your family or actors, however it may be. But yeah, it's an awesome point.
And that covers the last question that I had for you guys as it came in the chat here. Do you pay for professional photo shoots? So some of us have already answered that. Dan, do you as well?
I don't.
It's because you're a baller on the camera.
That's right. You got the
I don't. It's kind of like my little hobby. I got a drone, and I got a nice camera, and tripods and all kinds of gear. I like buying gear and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's kind of fun for me. I'll pick a night and I'll go back to a job and really get into it and try to take, some good pictures. And we've been fortunate. We use a lot of those pictures every day when we're selling more jobs, and when we website and Instagram and all that. And I'll agree with Matt on that. Something I got to get better at is, I think, putting people in the pictures is going to be like a new goal for me. I've been writing a whole list of notes here from this meeting. That's going to be a big one. I think seeing people in the spaces that we create and how they use them is the best way to sell them. And that's my big takeaway from this deal is I'm gonna copy off Mr. Hiner here and might have to get a professional in here and fill it full of people. I think that's great.
Chris killed it for me. Highly recommend him.
Yeah, I like him. Good deal.
Craig, yourself, do you pay for photo shoots on your jobs?
No, I have an iPhone 11 and a Mavic Mini drone, and then I have enjoyed kind of using those and doing some different, and I kind of enjoy doing some video. I've kind of learned, one of the things I did kind of when we got shut down was I just kind of goofed around with some video editing and some different things like that for something else I do. But it's just an opportunity for me to learn something new. Obviously I don't have time to do it, but it is fun. But my brother is in production and does some stuff. So he helps me do some doctoring up of the photos I take. And then he has a photographer he's going to put me in touch with here. Hopefully this spring when things green up and I have a few more jobs done, I'm going to go back and take some really killer pictures of the jobs we've done to help promote the future. And we have a pool going in March, so I'm going to try to get somebody there to do drone and some different things in the process of that, because I think that's people love seeing that stuff. I'm hoping to get some of that stuff lined up as we go, and definitely something that's on my radar.
Definitely. Josh, yourself.
No, just invested in the new iPhone or the Samsung with five cameras.
Wide lens.
So,
but you know what?
We've got our drone and things to get some different shots, but definitely need to invest more in the professional photography. We've got quite a few friends locally that do that, and definitely want to incorporate that into the new website and advertising for sure. That's a big goal of ours, is to improve that area.
For sure.
The Mavic is actually an amazing, I have the Mavic Air. I know so much the Mavic Mini. I haven't tried it, but DJI actually has an amazing software, an amazing platform that's super user friendly. I don't know anything about production, but with my little Mavic Air, I go up, I just film a bunch of stuff, and then there's an entire integrated editing software that auto edits a bunch of stuff for you, and then you can just grab snippets of it and move it over. So if anyone's for me, I have to say, and I'm not getting paid for this, unfortunately, but anyone is looking for a good drone, I feel like the DJI platform is amazing for that. For a beginner, it's great, great content. And you want to get those shots anyway, so if you're investing in a drone, might as well be able to get some great content out of it as well.
Yep. I did the Mini because it was a good price, but also I'd never flown a drone before, and it lands itself, it takes off itself. You can operate it real easy, so it was good for me, for sure.
I want to try that follow feature. Did you know that?
I don't have that on mine. I wish I did. Yeah, I wish I did.
Oh, but I never did it. I'm afraid that my drone's just gonna take off on me. But
be good for equipment, for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna start following the wrong car and just head out of the province. But no, that's it. So there's stuff like that. So I definitely I always go up and I take my pictures and I do random fly throughs. But I definitely want to get more action shots with the drone. And I have a GoPro, which my wife said I'm buying it for nothing, and she's been absolutely right for 3 years. But I have all the attachments, so this year I'm going to try to attach it to my skid steer and my excavator and all that stuff, and try to get a lot of action shots, because it's exactly that. Someone had mentioned that's what people want to see, and we see it
Lost Tony once again here. So Mike, do you pay for photo shoots for your jobs?
I had a photographer come to a couple of our jobs that were popular, that people had good reactions to.
Yeah.
This year, we had someone from our biggest client staff do a couple drone flyovers when we were turning the parking lot into a park all summer.
Nice.
And then obviously I shoot a ton of video and stuff myself and edit it. It's like a hobby, I guess, of mine. And then I try to really leverage relationships with manufacturers. Most of my best photography came from manufacturers paying to take pictures of our jobs. This year we did Best Way released a new slab. So I just made sure I put it in one of our jobs right away, and then they went and took pictures and used it in their marketing and gave me all the pictures. So, I try to manipulate some of the manufacturers to get, into the jobs. We've been in 3 or 4 catalogs a whole bunch of times. And all that is just you constantly bugging them. It's got nothing to do with, our jobs aren't $500,000 jobs or something. It's just, I bug them all the time and pick the products that they wanted to see, and then inherited all those photographs from them. So that's one way we've done it in the past. But we did pay a photographer to go out and take some pictures this year.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this. I've already held you up too long, so I just want to give each of you the chance to just for final thoughts on this subject, anything from the meeting that you took away, or whatever you want to leave the audience with, to just let us know where we can find you online. Craig, do you want to kick things off here?
Sure. Thanks everybody that's on here. This is a great networking opportunity for us, and hopefully it's beneficial to those that are watching. And I appreciate you having me. So I am on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And mostly what I'm doing on YouTube is I'm trying to do, I'm very big on education. So I like to, I'm trying to work on some content that will be educational, some processes of different things. We're doing quite a bit of porcelain, and we're trying to do different installation methods with that so that people can see that it's not something you should be scared of. We're cutting it, we're drilling it, we're doing as many things as we can to be different, set ourselves apart. But also I enjoy educating on hardscapes and construction. So I'm going to try to go that route, but I also put like time-lapse videos, things like that of our projects, so people can see those in a more of a longer, space. But Instagram is what I do most of my stuff on, and then I post everything on Facebook or finishing jobs usually. So.
Nice.
At Scheller Outdoor.
Perfect. And over to you, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can find me at DPR Landscapes. We're one of our other goals this year might not be our top goal, but definitely be a little bit better on social media this year. And just want to thank everyone that was involved today. Really enjoyed hearing all your answers, and I look forward to the meetings to come. I'll definitely make sure I'm a part of them. So talk to you all soon.
Over to you, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be in this group and with all these guys. And you can find me at Instagram at the.dan.wasson and at Wasson Nursery. And a big takeaway is there's a huge community of landscapers and hardscapers that especially on Instagram that you can learn from a bunch of people. You can ask direct questions. I get all kinds of messages and I answer every one of them because it's fun. I like doing it. And for example, we had a Zoom. Me and Hiner had a Zoom the other day where I had my team and him on a Zoom because I wanted to learn something that he did, and it was excellent. And I'll have to give you some updates soon, but we're working in that production sheet. So it's just. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's useful that as people are watching this, that they use the community. There's a bunch of people on here that will help you.
Incredible. And over to you, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm at Sutton Outdoor LLC on Instagram mostly. Next week we're flying down to Tampa, Florida to be part of the Green Industry Hype House with Paul Jamison and Brian Fullerton, and Andy Mulder will be there with us. We're going to represent the hardscape industry down there. So me and Andy will be there at the end of the week, and there's going to be a meetup at Armature Park down there in Tampa. So I'll be down there as well, and it'll be fun. We're just going to collaborate and all hype each other up on Instagram and YouTube as well. I don't have a YouTube yet, but I'm hoping to grow one here soon. I got tied in with that group through Instagram, just building relationships, talking to people that I wanted to get to know. And now all of a sudden I got invited to that hype house. So it's a pretty neat opportunity. They invited me down there, and Brittany and Caleb Auman will be there as well. So I'm excited to go down there and meet everyone and put out some good content while we're there. And just look forward to future rallies on this great show you've created. It's amazing. I love being a part of it.
And Hiner, over to you.
Awesome. Hey, great time. Thanks, Mike, and everybody. Instagram's where you can find me, either at the Yardist, _ Yardist, or my business, Hiner Outdoor Living. And I appreciate being a part of this awesome group. So thanks.
Yeah. And Mike, to you.
I'm really grateful that you invited me to be with everyone. It's an amazing group of people, and I'm really thankful. You can find me on almost any social media at Paver King. But right now we're working really hard to grow our OnlyFans account. So we're trying to log into our then I really appreciate that. We also just launched our MySpace page, and it's not getting the kind of traffic I thought it would. So, but no, seriously, anywhere at Paver King, and get people come at me, please, bring it. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys welcoming me to the group.
And Tony, close us out here. Where can we find you, and any closing thoughts?
At Zamco Group on Instagram, where you can find us. We're on Facebook as well. And we will be starting a YouTube channel in the upcoming season once we create that content. Closing thoughts. I mean, I have to say that I love this group of contractors. Great group of guys. I feel like we're all like-minded, and we're all definitely here to make the industry a better place. I'm really honored to be a part of it, and I'm very glad you asked me to join this group. You're doing a great thing, Mike, and keep it up. And everyone else, amazing work. Really excited to see what 2021 has in store, and really pumped to get in on the rest of these round table rallies, I believe we called it. Yeah. So, guys, this was awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Hey, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We also had Caleb Auman here from Auman Landscape. He is Auman at Auman Landscape LLC on Instagram. He also has a YouTube channel that you should definitely go check out, and go give these guys a follow. They have invested a lot of time into this and taken time out of their lives to do this. So I thank you guys for even wanting to be with me here. And thank you to everyone that's listening, watching on YouTube Live. These are going to be live. And